Everybody goes into their own house, into their own world, and they don't communicate with their neighbors anymore. A lot of neighbors don't even know who's next door to them. We need to open that communication back up where neighbors start caring about neighbors. You'll see a reduction in violent crime.
I view myself as a Messianic Jew, but I am not a Christian. I was always felt very welcome in Ray's church. And even though I've never tried being a member of a Christian group, part of that church went with me every time I left. So there was no need to convert me.
I'm not converting anybody into anything. This is not a religious issue. This is a spiritual issue. And it's something that's damaging us. Today, August 28th, I was there at Emmett Till grave here in Chicago. His mother was harassed, life-threatened. She doesn't live too far from where I live. And it really was something for me to experience today, to see tears still flowing for that child.
Right.
This movement didn't end with the burying of that child, because the mother, she did not allow her child to be forgotten. We're on a mission that religion won't work, but it's a relationship that you have with God and how God guides us by whatever name you call it. It doesn't matter. God is not religion and God is not a race.
Right.
God is spirit.
I'm a violence interrupter. I'm a community advocate. I'm a father that has children and want a safe world for my babies.
My God.
It ain't about the D's and the R's. It's about ourselves. While we're worrying about what they're worrying about up top, down here where we are, our women are mourning. Those are the ones that bring our children into this world. People was taught to hate themselves so much that they hate me because I look like them. We have to change it around. These prayer vigils that Sir Friendly C has put together is marvelous.
Emmett Till, the uncle, had to deal with the fact that he could not protect his nephew. Our men has been forced from not being able to defend their children, their wives. My mother raised me to hate white people. Stuart, I could not sit in a room with people that were considered white because I had hate in my heart. I had to learn to forgive my parents. I had to forgive them for what they passed on to me. They passed on to me what they themselves had not yet what? Overcame. And God allowed me to overcome it. And then when my mother read my book, Mother Joy, she said, son, it's your story to tell. And have it brought you peace.
In the heart of America, a family stands tall. God's loving unity, holding us soul. In the heart of
Welcome to our America's Family Reunion podcast. We're going to start out with Ray Barker, known as Sir Friendly C, how we can bring our country together, especially during this political season.
I made that alter ego of Sir Friendly to be able to speak to youth about saying no to drugs and violence here in Louisville, Kentucky. So without hogging up all of the mic, I'm going to give you 3 talking points. It's only my opinion. In order to reduce the violence in all of our community, 3 things need to happen. The world needs to acknowledge in some language a spiritual being that's greater than them. Some people will call that spiritual being God. Other people will just simply call that spiritual being love. Because there's less of a presence of God and love in this world, that's one of the reasons why we're experiencing violence. Ever since the invention of air conditioning, everybody goes into their own house, into their own world, and they don't communicate with their neighbors anymore. A lot of neighbors don't even know who's next door to them. We need to open that communication back up where neighbors start caring about neighbors, you'll see a reduction in violent crime. And then the last talking point is to vote. And you say, what does vote got to do with violence? Vote's got a lot to do with violence. In the state of Kentucky, the legislators here in Kentucky have voted that in order to have a gun here, you don't need a license. The gun violence automatically went up. In the state of Kentucky, to get married, you need a license. To go fishing, you need a license. To sell alcohol, you need a license. To drive a car, you need a license. To sell eggs, you need a license. But the most deadliest tool in the world, which is a gun, you don't need to know anything about it. You don't need a license. All you have to do is be of a certain age. That's why folks need to vote. You can repeal that law and replace it with common sense.
Ray, when you're talking about community, I agree with you. But it's not just whether you sit on the front porch together or your neighbor's name. It's, are you able to have an honest, open, truthful, and humble communication with them? Is there an admission ticket they have to present to be worthy of your attention or your friendship? The last Zoom call, we had a gun dealer in Cleveland. One of the parties realized not only that he could never convince anybody else on the call of his position, that maybe they ought to take a second look. We're frozen up. We're afraid of not just communications with the person next door, but how can we sell this to our spouse or to our family or to the people we work with?
Master Khalid's with us. What's your thoughts on, he mentioned basically turning back to God, communicating with neighbors and community, and then also being civically engaged?
We look at what the drug dealers can do or the people that give them love in the streets and what our disassociation with them as our children. You're over there and I'm over here. So it's the relationship. It's the interpersonal communication. It's the ability to understand that our parents are our guides. Before we can teach them about something greater than us, we have to teach them something about that greatness, that entity that we're trying to incorporate in their lives is within them. Great is he that is in me than he is in the world. But Kentucky has always been an open carry state. That's nothing new. If they're able to educate us about an open carry weapon, we can be educated about how to have a decent conversation with our people, with somebody that you're having a disagreement with, how to live and be in harmony without smacking each other in the mouth.
Ray, Sir Friendly C, you've been doing these prayer peace rallies.
We had to find a vehicle that doesn't cause alarm to anyone. And prayer is that vehicle that doesn't cause alarm to any group, whether you're Muslim, whether you're Christian, whether you're Catholic or Jewish. It doesn't offend any particular group. Prayer does. And that's why we've been sponsoring a prayer visual as that vehicle to get us to come together and communicate, but to look at our brothers and sisters as our brothers and sisters with no hostility at all. And through these prayer visuals, it's been getting bigger and bigger, whether there be an officer, a judge, or EMS driver, or a fireman. At the end of the day, they're human. They have a family that loves them, and they'd like to get back to that family.
My name is Pastor Johnson. I'm up here in the beautiful Lorraine, Ohio. We are positioned to help people recover from all circumstances, whether it's the recovery space, the reentry space, the mental health space, the unhoused space. I prophesy some unity that we've never seen before, some coming across the aisle, uniting, some races coming together to see change like we've never seen it before.
I would like to ask the pastors, we have a presidential race coming up. So how does the religious people decide who you want to endorse? But to me, when you all represent the creator, y'all should stay neutral. And I don't see the only person that religious leaders should be endorsing is their God and not a person, because everybody's fallible.
That's an excellent question, Mr. Ray. And I think the focus should be now on us. What are we going to do? It's on us. It's not about the candidate. I think the focus is on us. It was not a coincidence that the church, the Christian church in the United States, was targeted in the opening ceremony of the Olympics.
Amen.
Now, this is our opportunity to show the world the love of Christ on a whole nother level. How we can love the unlovable and forgive the unforgivable. I think that there are some Christians that's tired of the hate and the dogma and the legalism, and that our differences, put our differences aside and be a Christian, Ray, and represent God for God's sake, to show up as the church, no matter who gets in that office November. And I'm not going to endorse one or the other. And so let's come together no matter what and pray for the both of them and everybody involved, both whether there's this administration, that administration, both parties, all parties, and just unite like never before.
If you're talking about a peace movement that has something to do with a particular church, or particularly people of minorities of sort who are within that church, I don't feel like I'm in the right room. Do you really want people who are non-believers, atheists in your group? We're all trying to do something good. But if we want to really accomplish the goal of universality and a change in our world, we've got to stop using those terms.
Mama Joy, who is our co-host, Mama Joy, why don't you address what you've heard so far?
Brother Stuart, as you completed your assessment, I really appreciate that, because I'm not converting anybody into anything. This is not a religious issue. This is a spiritual issue, and it's something that's damaging us totally because we're not dealing with the issues. Today, August 28th, I was there at Emmett Till grave here in Chicago, and there were about 40 or 50 people there, and there were family members of Emmett Till who died at the age of 14. He had been tortured and murdered on a lie of a white woman. Those individuals were captured, and they turned themselves in, had a trial, and they all were free. That was the spark that actually ignited the civil rights movement. And why is that important? It's because number one, he was a child. He was a part of the American family. But he was from the North, and he didn't understand the ways of the South. His mother was harassed, life threatened. She doesn't live too far from where I live. And it really was something for me to experience today, to see tears still flowing for that child.
Right.
People were standing, and there were whites, Hispanics, and Black and family there. When something happens to a family so severe, family never forgets. And as we as Americans seeking to bring healing to our American family, or reunite it, as we're saying, because we've been torn apart, is a very sensitive job. And I agree with you, Brother Stuart. This is not a religious thing. This is something that is totally heart, body, and soul. And I stood there and I realized that this movement didn't end with the burying of that child, because the mother, she did not allow her child to be forgotten. So if we're going to be healers, we're on a mission that religion won't work. But it's a relationship that you have with God and how God guides us by whatever name you call it. It doesn't matter. God is not religion and God is not a race.
Right.
God is spirit. What we're talking about is the healing of this country of ours that wants to put to sleep some of the horrors that they did and not address them. We have wounds since the Civil War. I don't know if any of you read the Election Peace Pledge. Just as a family must nurture and protect its bonds, so too must our nation strive to heal its divisions and renew its commitment to peace and democracy. Just as the child needs both a mother and a father, our country needs all of us. Do we have the substance within ourselves to bring about a healing and do the work on ourselves, and to forgive and to build a future that reflects the best? The healing that we are seeking has to first begin within ourselves. That's outside of ourselves. We have to work on ourselves.
Right.
And develop
Absolutely.
the kind of heart language that we can attract and be civil with each other.
I've been to Ray's church several times, and it's always been a moving and beautiful experience. I view myself as a Messianic Jew, but I am not a Christian. Jesus was the perfect Jew. He was the perfect rabbi.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to say I'm a member of a Christian church, but I don't want to ever feel that I'm not welcome. I was always felt very welcome in Ray's church. And even though I've never tried or thought about being a member or being in that form of Christian group, part of that church went with me every time I left. So there was no need to convert me. If we want to build this great American family, we need to build it within our own personal families, but we need to understand, Mama Joy, and what I heard you saying is that Emmett Till was my cousin. He was my child.
Yes.
You don't own him. You know? I look at not Palestinians, not just Arab, not just Muslim, but I look at all people as my cousins.
Go ahead on.
That's right. Well,
Come
brother,
on.
once again, we're trying to fit a description of what mankind said that we are as men and women, instead of what the Creator designed man and woman to be. Instead of finding those things that we don't, let's find that one common cause that makes us one, and let's build on that. I'm a violence interrupter. I'm a community advocate. I'm a father that has children and want a safe world for my babies.
My God. Yes. Yes. Yes.
We go
Yes.
to the crime scenes and sit with the grieving parents. We sit here with the bodies until the coroner comes.
Come on.
We meet the gang members where they are for a week with our team.
Press.
And we do that not because we're black or we're white or we're Republican or Democrat, because I'm this and that, because we're human.
Yes.
And we stand on that foundation, and we don't ask nothing else from anybody except for build yourself and know that you're not alone. Be friends to your children. With the choice of friends they got out there, you better be. But because you're friends don't mean you got to act like those idiots out there that we're trying to keep them away from and smoke a blunt with them or drink a beer with them. Or we're their lifeguards. Don't swim without your lifeguard. Don't move without. Don't be out there in them streets and don't think you can't call for help. We cut ourselves off. We cut off the opportunity to help raise and mold and help them identify with themselves and help them figure things out and work things out, because I can't talk to you. I got to go talk to one of my friends. No, what I'm saying is you're my brother, you're my sister.
Yes.
Let's go grab something to eat. I don't eat pork. But we can go to that place where they got swine on one side and I can eat a kosher hot dog over here. It ain't about the D's and the R's. It's about ourselves. While we're worrying about what they're worrying about up top, down here where we are, where we live at, where we eat at, where we sleep at, where our children lay at, our mothers are grieving, our women are mourning. Those are the ones that bring our children into this world. People was taught to hate themselves so much that they hate me because I look like them. We have to change it around. And I'm saying, these prayer vigils that Sir Friendly C has put together is marvelous. Few hours after we got through with our last prayer vigil, my son died. And I was like, first, what am I doing wrong? I talked to the Creator. What do you want from me? What am I doing wrong? But I believe in you. I trust your decision because you're the best of planners. But give me some understanding. And I had to sit by myself. I called Sir Friendly. He got up. And the Creator told me, says, be still. I told the brother, get back in the bed. He said, no, I'm on my way to you. I said, no, get back in the bed. I'm good. And I sat her and the Creator talked to me and told me to calm down, get my head together, because I have work to do. So I'm telling you all, we got work to do. We got work to do.
Yes, we do.
Thank you so much, Master Cleed, Uncle Meshorn.
No, we're going to call him cousin. Oh, no, Uncle Meshorn, yeah. And cousins and brothers and sisters. We family now.
I'm in the room talking about Emmett Till. I talk about the uncle.
The uncle, that's right.
That had to deal with the fact that he could not protect his nephew. He could not protect his nephew. And people immediately, I say, I don't take anything away from the mother, but the story must be also talking about the masculine side of this conversation. That man had weapons in his home.
That's right.
He could have stopped them from taking that little boy. But guess what would have happened? Money, Mississippi in the early 60s. They would have killed him. The uncle sent his family away from Money, Mississippi, and he took him and his son to that trial. He stood there alone. No men came, no one else. He had to do it all by himself.
Yes, yes.
Our men has been forced from not being able to defend their children, their wives. I will not allow these times to go where I do not defend my right to exist as an American, carry my arms, do whatever I need to do to defend my right to exist. The reason why we have the violence of things is going on, and Noah Schultz said this in his America's Little Black Book. The violence and the shooting that's going on in our communities is not black people. They're not Negroes. They're not African Americans. They are descendants of American slaves. They are descendants of American slaves that don't know, don't understand their roots is not in Africa, but here in America.
That's right.
I had a week where I ran into several young men who got my book. I'm going to try to hold it together. And they listened to my book and they came to me saying, Uncle Meshorn, thank you. I understand you more. These are young men that was once standoff against me. I became emotional. These young men said, thank you, Uncle Meshorn. I never knew and understand. I said, that book is my therapy. I wrote that book for you. And they got it, man. And when I had that experience with these 6 or 7 brothers, I knew that I'd done the right thing. My mother raised me to hate white people. Stuart, I could not sit in a room with people that were considered white because I had hate in my heart. I had to learn to forgive my parents. I had to forgive them for what they passed on to me. They passed on to me what they themselves had not yet what? Overcame. And God allowed me to overcome it. And then when my mother read my book, Brother Joy, she said, son, It's your story to tell. And have it brought you peace. Republican, Democrats, everybody, we need to be willing to examine getting our peace. Everyone on here needs to get your peace.
That's right.
Before you can't be peaceful with nobody else if you ain't found peace. And you ain't in peace with yourself. You ain't in peace with your God. How you gonna help somebody? And you know what, Mama G, I'm gonna say this to you. Had I not done what I done, you would be where you at today. Am I right or wrong?
Amen, brother. You're right. Don't forget that donation button is right there to help us because we want to be able to
keep it going.
Yes, we got our election peace pledge song that we're going to play for everyone.
In the heart of America, our family stands tall. Bonds of love and unity, holding us all. In the heart of America, our family stands tall. Bonds of love and unity, holding us all. We must nurture these ties, I swear to renew, healing the wounds, coming together anew. America's family reunion, a pledge for peace, honoring our legacy, divisions to cease. Accepting the choice, rejecting the violence, we want united. In the heart of America, our family stands tall. Bonds of love and unity, holding us all. In the heart of